Hello friends, welcome to CEC Live Lectures. Dear friends, today in this session we are going to talk more on web designing. In the previous sessions we discussed a lot where we tried to explain you in detail about HTML. Friends, today we are going to talk on cascading style sheets, and for the discussion on the topic we have with us in our studios Dr. Pavitra Bharadwaj. Dr. Pavitra Bharadwaj is Assistant Professor in Department of Computer Science, Jesus and Mary College, University of Delhi. Now I would like to welcome our guest Dr. Pavitra Bharadwaj and would request her to explain us in detail what is cascading style sheets are. Hello ma'am, welcome to the lecture.
Thank you. Good afternoon. In the previous few lectures we have been talking about how internet works, what is website, how websites are designed, what are the basic technologies that are used for website designing. So we have basically seen that the power of internet lies in a lot of services, and the most important of those services is the World Wide Web, that is the WWW. Now World Wide Web, as we all understand, it is a network, or it is a huge collection of millions and millions of web pages, and these web pages are organized in the form of websites. So we understand that today, in today's scenario, no organization, no institution can survive without having a presence on the web. And how do they have their presence on the web? Is through a website. So basically a website is the way, or it is the gateway through which any company or organization launches itself on the internet, makes its presence felt on the digital world or on the virtual world. Now in order to design web pages or websites, first thing is that we have understood that a website is basically a collection of web pages, and any web page can have multiple elements of text, audio, video, graphics, images, tables, etc. And we have also seen that how basically a website is designed. So we have seen that websites are designed using HTML, and there is a specific process, as you can see, which is used for designing the websites. So we have a website design process, and through that we design the web pages. Now these web pages are interlinked to each other, they are connected to each other through various links which are known as hyperlinks. And we use a very basic technology for creating or designing these web pages, and that is the hypertext markup language, or the HTML. Now HTML we have discussed in detail in the previous few lectures, that HTML basically has tags, and these tags are used for creating different elements on the screen or on the web page. And we have seen that HTML is designed in Notepad. So you basically write the tags, or you write the coding in the Notepad, and that coding, the result of that can be seen in any browser, because that is where you are going to see it. So basically when you are designing websites, so we are actually looking at two sides of the process. One is the client side, that is what the client is going to see. So what the client is going to see is known as the front end, or it is designed using HTML. And then there is also a back end. Back end means what the server is going to see when the website is hosted, or when it is used for any kind of when the website or the client sends a message, it goes to a server. So a website is basically hosted on a server. So the server side is also a very important component, because ultimately the processing of the client's data and the request or the response is going to come from the server side. So at the server side there are different technologies which are used. We could use a server side script like a PHP or an ASP or a JSP, or different kinds of scripting languages can be used along with the database. So database has to be used. So that is the configuration of a web server. Nevertheless, we are focusing in this series on the client side development of web pages, how web pages are designed and developed and how they appear and how we can control the appearance. So basically, if you see here, if you see the process of creating a website, we see that first thing is that you have to choose a domain name for your website. So you choose a domain name. Domain name is how you want your website to be known. Say for example, www.abc.com. So in this case, this is the domain name of your website. Then you register this domain name with a registrar. There is an agency which will register this domain name for you. Then you choose a hosting service. A hosting service is basically, these are service providers which allow people to host their websites. They give the space on the web servers so that websites can be hosted. Then we tell the registrar the IP address at which we are going to host our website. So this server or the hosting space could be taken on a dedicated server, or it could be on a leased server, as space could be taken on a shared basis also. So depending on the requirements of the websites, we can choose between a dedicated server or between a shared web server for hosting our website on it. Then once we obtain the IP address of the server where our website is going to be hosted, that is given to the registrar or to the agency who has registered our domain name. And then after this you start creating the content. So content creation will begin once the domain has been registered, the space has been taken, because you are aware of how much space you have on the server. Accordingly you will design your content for your website, how big or small you want it to be. And then you use the hosting using the FTP, and then your website is ready to be launched. So once your website is put on the server, it is hosted on the server, there is FTP link is been created, then you can submit this to new search engines. So whenever anybody will then search for any content related to that, the person will find that out. So basically this is the process in a nutshell how websites are designed. So when we are saying that we are developing the web content, so content means both the content for the front end as well as for the back end. So you design the content, you develop the content for the front end as well as for the back end. Now basically there are different principles which are involved for the good design of a website. So this is very, very important for a person to understand what are the different principles which are required for the designing. So the website must actually be visitor centric. So the person who is going to come and see your website must find it appealing. So for example, if your website is going to target students, so then the website should be the interface of the website should be designed so that young students will feel attached to it, they will feel attracted towards following your website. Then it must have a progressive disclosure should be there. So whatever content is there, it should be a positive content on your website, it should be good. Then there should be, one should always keep checking for the security aspect of the website, that your website has to be secure. Any user's data which the user puts in your website should be protected against all kinds of cyber threats, and it should be protected by a privacy policy. So that must also be. Then one very important thing which we see is the layout of the website. The layout of the website should be simple yet appealing. It should not be too cumbersome and it should not be too scanty, so that it doesn't look good enough. Then search engine accessibility is very, very important, because if your website is not accessible by search engines easily, then it may not have that much of viewers. The total hits to your website will come down, and then there is no purpose. The purpose of having a website will be defeated. So that is again very important characteristic. Then it should have an intuitive navigation. The navigation of the website should be very easy. From one page to the other page, the user should go effortlessly. The user should not be having to look at or to search for links on your website. It should be automatically directed. The user should automatically be directed to the other website. Of course, the design should be attractive. It should be a good design, and there should be no technical problems or glitches while website is being loaded. There should be, if you feel that the website is going to be accessed from areas which have low bandwidth, then you should cater to the needs of such users who will be using it on a slow internet connection, thus reducing the size of the images or the content, or making it more accessible to the people, etc. For example, if you are designing a website which is to be viewed by people with disabilities or with differently abled people are going to see that, then all those accessibility issues should be addressed while designing the website. So if you remember all these points while designing your website, then one can be sure that the website is going to be a good designed, a well designed website, and it is going to have a good amount of, or a good number of hits, and it is going to be considered as a successful design for a website. Then if you want to create your own website, then there are different technologies which are used. I have been talking about these technologies in a lot of lectures. So you have different technologies, like at the client side you have some technologies, like you have the HTML, and we will be talking about the cascading style sheets, and at the server side also we have the scripting languages like the Perl or JavaScript and so on. So different languages or different technologies are used for the client and the server side. So we have already discussed the HTML as a tool for designing the content for the client's end. Today we are going to go one step further in designing the content for the client's end only. So in today's lecture, basically we are going to talk about cascading style sheets, or how to style your websites using a consistent design. Now it is very important to understand that a website involves multiple pages, and generally the designer of the website would want that the layout of all those pages be consistent. We have seen that the basic layout, the design, the type of fonts which are used, etc., remains consistent or constant over a given website. Sometimes we see that over a given page those attributes or those styling elements are consistent. So therefore we need to use one technology ahead of HTML now. Once we are comfortable using HTML, so we can use another element or an advanced level of HTML which incorporates the cascading style sheets, in which we can give specific styling elements which we cannot give using the normal HTML tags and their attributes. For example, if you want to control the margins of a page, that cannot be given using any attribute of the HTML. Or for instance, you want to give only a background color for a specific line of text. So this kind of attribute, or you want to specify a specific type of paragraph indentation. So then certain elements cannot be given by HTML, certain other elements which you can give by HTML tags also, but using that will make it more cumbersome. It will make your coding very cumbersome, complex, and too much of tags will be there, so it will become very difficult for anyone to decode what you have written or what you have qualified there. So basically we will be using another set of tags or another set of tools for creating a uniformity in the styling or in the layout or in the design of your website. So this element is known as the cascading style sheets. Now style sheets word is used because it is going to give a styling element, a consistent style to all the HTML tags which are being used in the website, and cascading word is used for a specific reason that we are going to discuss in the course of action once we see the different types of ways in which styling can be done. So we are going to talk about CSS, which is commonly known as CSS is cascading style sheets. So this is a simple mechanism for controlling the style of a web document without compromising its structure. So it allows you to separate the visual design elements, that is the layout, the font, colors, margins, etc., from the content of a web page, so it becomes much easier to design and revise your pages. So it allows for faster downloads, streamlined site maintenance and global control of design attributes across multiple pages. So what we are saying here is that basically now we are doing two things. One is, till now we have seen that while we are putting the content, we are doing the formatting or the styling also, like we are controlling the size of the fonts along with the text. Now we are trying to separate these two things and we are going to create two separate elements of the same website. One element will have the content, or one part will have the content, and the other part is going to have the styling element. So this is going to create ease of creating for the web developer. Also it will make the design of the website process a more simpler process, and it will add to the speed of downloading the content, the how the website gets opened in case of bandwidth limitations, etc. That can also be sorted out when you are using this kind of element, because the whole thing becomes streamlined. So instead of specifying the attributes for each tag on every page every time you are using it, you can define it once and then use it several times. This is what style sheets is going to work for. That is, you can control the style by providing it only once. You are specifying the style elements only once and then you are getting it throughout your website. So basically, what is the difference between your cascading style sheet and the HTML? Now this is very important to note that HTML cannot be used for controlling selective backgrounds. So you cannot control HTML you cannot use HTML for providing the background for any specific page, or if you want to set the font size to exact height that you want, because in HTML you only provide it in pixels, so you cannot provide an exact size using HTML. Or if you want to highlight some words or paragraphs or headings, then you cannot do that using the background colors. Then overlapping words and logo type headers, etc. cannot be done using HTML. Precise positioning cannot be done if you are using HTML, and linked style sheets can be used to control the look of a whole website from a single location. So if you want to specify point sizes, page margins, leading space or trailing space between lines, or create any number of formatting variations for a single HTML tag. So if you want all these elements to be put in your HTML page, then you cannot do that using your regular HTML tags. So you can create a large amount of variation in your HTML tags if you are using the cascading style sheets option. So style sheets will provide a very rich medium for incorporating or enhancing the power of your regular HTML tags. So it provides one level ahead of simple formatting that you have done using your plain HTML tags. So basically there are three advantages that we talk about when you are using cascading style sheets over HTML. First is, of course, the additional formatting that you can do. As I just said, for example, you want to highlight some text, or you want to create a page margin, or you want to give a specific kind of border to your image. So all that can be controlled using style sheets. Then second is better control. How you can control the appearance of each and every element on the page can be done in a very, very effective manner if you are using a cascading style sheet, under in contrast to what you are doing using the HTML. And easier customization, because you have created one style sheet. This we are talking about the linked style sheets, and you want to make changes to the image. Like for example, your website has 50 pages, all the pages have the same background color, say purple. Now you decide to change your website a bit, you want to modify it a bit. So if you want that the background color of all the pages should become blue instead of purple. So if you are using a cascading style sheet, you can do this in one go by changing only one tag or only one attribute. You can simply make the color from purple to blue. Irrespective of that, if you were using HTML, then for each page you have to go and set the color to blue. So if there are 100 pages, you would have done it 100 times. So that's what we are trying to put here, that customization or making changes to an existing structure of a website becomes much more easier when you are using the style sheets as compared to the regular HTML tags. So now basically we are in a position that we should understand how the class style sheets or the styling elements are described or how they can be used in an HTML page. So see, for defining a CSS tag, basically there is a specific syntax that you have to use. Now again I would like to say the same thing, that CSS is a part of your HTML file. So CSS commands can be written within the HTML file also. There are different ways, we will talk about them, but here you can see if you want to write the CSS, the basic syntax says that you will write the selector. Selector here means the HTML tag for which attribute or the HTML element or tag for which you want to define the style. Then you write the name of the property, colon, the value for that property. If you want to specify the value or if you want to set the value for another property, then you write semicolon, the name of the second property, again a colon, and you specify the value. So here you can see in the example, we are specifying the font size and color for the P tag. So we are writing P, in curly braces we are writing font size. Now font size is a predefined property of the tag P. Then you write 8 point, and you separate it by a semicolon, write color, colon, and then you specify the value for the color. So basically you can specify like this, you can specify the style elements or you can specify the properties for all HTML tags or all HTML elements. A detailed list of different properties of each element is available at various sources in various HTML CSS books also, and otherwise also it is available. So you can see through the books etc. and find out what all different properties can be set or what all different properties can be assigned using these cascading style sheets. So you can see here that you are defining the selector. So selector here is the P. Then you give the property name. For example, here the property name is font size, and you can specify the font size as either as a number or you can specify it as large or extra large, so on. Then you specify, then you separate it with a comma and you put the background color. Again you put a colon because background color is the name of the property, and you give yellow. So what will happen is that after this, wherever the P tag will be used, automatically the font size will become extra large and the background color will become yellow, so that the content will look as being highlighted with a yellow color. So wherever the P tag will be used after the font, after the style has been declared, it will automatically be incorporated. So basically what we are doing is that we are setting the property once, and after the property has been set once, wherever down the line you will use the tag, the impact of that property will be shown. So next time when you will use, you will only write P, but automatically the font size will become extra large and the highlight color will become yellow. So you only have to specify it once. After that, wherever you use the tag, automatically it will be applicable. So we can have different selector strings or different tags for which the attributes can be specified. Like you can see here, type selector, you can use it for body or for paragraph or for horizontal row. Multiple element types using the same style can be used, for which can be used by separating by a comma. So in this we are using H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. These are all the different heading levels that we have seen in HTML, and we are setting the background color to purple. So next time whenever the user will use any of these highlight colors H1 to H6, then the background color will be set to purple. Then you can also select an ID for the attributes. So ID can be given by giving a hash, and then you can write P1 or S1. These are simple names that you are creating, and then you can specify these for a specific tag. So you can write PID is equal to P1 or span ID is equal to S1, and you can close the corresponding tag. So next time your P1 will be identified as a paragraph tag, S1 will be identified as a span tag. So case these are IDs are case sensitive. So if you are giving it in small letters, then you must use it also in lowercase letters only, or vice versa. You cannot change this. So basically we have seen that style sheets are used in the pages for customization, for the ease of customization, or for defining the elements, and we have also seen that styling elements can be defined for all HTML tags. So we have just seen how you can customize or how you can change the behavior of the paragraph tag. So instead of having a normal paragraph, now your paragraph will have a font size of extra large, or a background color, or a font color. There are different properties which you can set for each of these tags, like the paragraph or for the body and HR, etc. Now it is important to understand, if you want to insert a style sheet, or if you want to insert the style element in your HTML page, how you can do that. So there are different methods, or there are actually 3 ways in which styles can be incorporated within your HTML files. See, one level of styling is that you create a separate style sheet and you link it to your HTML file. So this is one way. Second way could be embedding. Embedding means that wherever in your web page you need a style element, so you define the style element in the top of the web page, so that element or that particular style will be applicable to the complete web page, to that one single web page. And the third way could be that if you only want to customize the performance, or if you only want to change the way a single tag instance is working, then you just mention the style along with that tag in that specific line. So basically you are talking about 3 different levels of styling. One is an external level, the other is an internal level, and the third is a local level. So we shall be continuing on different ways of inserting style sheets in the next part of our lecture. Till then, thank you.
With this note, thank you, and thank you so very much for giving us this session. Friends, you are requested to be with us as there is a lot more for you. We are back after a short break. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome back to this session. Friends, as you know that today we are talking on cascading style sheets, and for the discussion on the topic we have with us in our studios Dr. Pavitra Bharadwaj. Dr. Pavitra Bharadwaj is Assistant Professor in Department of Computer Science, Jesus and Mary College, University of Delhi. Dr. Bharadwaj is a prolific professor, and through her we always get in-depth knowledge on various topics. So let's welcome our guest Dr. Bharadwaj and let's try to understand more about cascading style sheets. Hello ma'am, welcome back to the session.
Good afternoon. So we were discussing about how we can use the power of style elements or cascading style sheets while we are using our HTML for designing web pages. So as we had seen that style sheets not just provide consistency in the design and the layout of the website, but it also helps the web designer in easy customization of the website that he has designed, and also for the purpose of incorporating certain elements which otherwise HTML does not support. So we had seen that there are three ways actually. We were talking about how to insert style elements or the style content into your HTML page. So there are three ways that we had discussed for the same. So three ways are: the first way is by linking, or that is an external style element. So if you want to link a style sheet from your to your HTML file, so this method allows you to change the appearance of multiple web pages by tweaking a single file. Then by embedding a style sheet in your HTML file, this method allows you to change the appearance of a single web page by tweaking a few lines. And by adding inline or local styles to your HTML web file, this gives you a quick way to change the appearance of a single tag, a group of tags, or a block of information on your page. So basically, when we are saying that it is an external style sheet, it means that for your complete website you will be using one style sheet and you will define that style element as a separate file, and all the other web pages will be linked to this particular file. So this file that will contain the style element will be saved with a .css extension, and your HTML files will have the particular tags which are required for creating that link with the CSS file or the cascading style sheet file. So now we will see how this particular thing works. So when you want to create a link to a style sheet, it gives you the important benefit that you just have to make changes to a single file, and all the other pages of your website will automatically get the change reflected in them, because they are all drawing the nature of the tag through this particular CSS file. So basically what you are doing is you are creating a tag which is not the usual behavior of the tag, but you are altering the behavior of a normal HTML tag by specifying the specific properties and assigning a value to those properties which is required for your particular design element or your particular web page. So in this case, when you are talking about linking to a separate sheet, to a style sheet, what we are doing is that we are saving the style definition in a separate file, as I just said, with the extension .css. CSS here stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Now to link an external style sheet, you simply create a file with your style definition, save it with the CSS file extension, and link it to from your web page. So on your web page you will create a link to link this .css file to your HTML file. Now this way you can use the same style sheet for any number of pages on your site. For example, if your style sheet is called mystyle.css, so then what you are going to do is you have created this file called mystyle.css. In this you have defined the style elements, like you have defined the p tag, the style for the p tag. So you are specifying the font family is Verdana or sans serif, font size is 12 point and color is red. For H1 you are giving the font family as serif, for font size as 14 and color as green. For H2 you are giving it as serif, font size is 11 and color is blue. So you have defined all these style sheet elements or all these style elements in a file and you have saved it within the folder with the name mystyle.css. So basically name is user defined, but the extension has to be .css, and all these tags will come under style and /style. So style is another, like an HTML tag only, there is a tag called style. So within the angle brackets you will write the word style, then you will define all the style definitions and you will close the style, and then you will save this file as .css. This file can be created the same way as you are creating your HTML file. If you are creating an HTML file in Notepad, the same way you will save and you will create and save this file also using the Notepad. If you are using any other web authoring tool for creating your web pages, then all web authoring tools also support creation of .css files. So you will use this the same tool and you will create this file, you will put a style definition and do it. Now onwards, now whatever files in your web page want to use this particular type of styling, that they want the paragraph to appear in a red color and the font size H1 is to be specified and H2 is to be specified. So all the pages that want this style element will create a link on those HTML file. There will be a link which is created to this CSS file using a specific tag. So what is that tag that we use? So this is it. Within the head of the HTML file, you will write the HTML, you will write the tag or you will write the command link and you will write REL. REL stands for relation and that is style sheet. Href is the address or the URL of the CSS file that you have created, and you specify the type. So type is either text or CSS. Now there are different types which you can specify, but text and CSS is supported by all browsers, so this is generally used. So this particular tag or this particular command, the link command, is going to create the link tag. So if the browser supports style sheets or any browsers, any browsers these days, all browsers, latest versions of all browsers are designed to support style elements, so they will all support this kind of style definition and this link can be created. So just by inserting this one line in any HTML page, you can borrow all the style definition that has been defined in a CSS file. So this is one way in which you can make changes to your complete website by only making changes to your single file. For example, if you want that the H1 element should not appear in green but it should appear in red, so then you only have to make that change at one place, automatically all your headings will start appearing in red color, or if you want to change the font and so on. So the next type or the next way in which you can incorporate style element within your web pages is the embedding. Now in case of embedding, you define the style element and it is applicable to only one single web page. So if on the same web page you have 10 instances of that HTML tag, all those instances will use the style that you have defined in your style element in your web page head portion. So in the head portion of the HTML page, you will define whatever style element you want, and that style element will be applicable on the single web page only. So you can see here, this method can only specify style information for the current document, that is only for this particular document where you are using. So this is like a 1:1 relationship. You have one style definition and it is acting on only one single page. So however, the same document may have other style definitions applied to it. So they can use other style definitions also. The same page can have all the three different types of style definitions that we will be discussing. So that is 1:many relationship. 1:many means the same page will have multiple styles, or the same page will have only one style, is 1:1. So embedded style sheet rules will have higher precedence than external style sheet rule if there is a conflict between the styles. Embedded style sheet rules will have a lower precedence than an inline style sheet rule. So basically, how do you define the embedding style sheet? That is, you define it within the head portion. So it embed an entire CSS document in an HTML document's head section inside a style element. So we use a style element, and within the style element we will insert all the styling elements that we want to put there. So style properties are defined for existing defined elements like paragraphs, H3, list, any other, or they can be also used for creating style classes which are applied to either existing type of element in the body of the document or one specific element in the document. So both these can be used. So CSS will be applicable to the existing elements also, or you can create a class in CSS and those styling elements will be applicable to all the instances of that class that you are going to create in the future also. So in order to embed a style sheet, you add a style and /style block at the top of your document between the HTML and the body. So style is always defined outside the body and within the HTML tags. So it has one parameter, that is type, which specifies the internet media type, and you generally define this as text / CSS. Then the style tag is followed by any number of style definitions and terminated with again a /style tag. So you can see here we have written HTML, then we write style type is equal to, and you write text / CSS, because this is the internet media type that we are specifying, that you are going to use text media type or a CSS media type. Then you have the HTML comments. So HTML comments means that if any browser tries to open this page and the browser does not support CSS, then this portion will be completely ignored by that browser. The browser will not try to interpret this portion, but those browsers which are enabled and which can interpret the style content and these tags, those browsers will process this as normal. So you inside the body, inside the style and the comments, then you define all the style elements that you want. Now it is important to understand that different ways can be used for defining the style elements. Like for a specific paragraph, you can set multiple properties by separating them using a semicolon inside a curly braces, or you can also specify it for a block of quotes at the same time. And then of course you close the style and you close the head portion, and then you start the body and you use the HTML tags as normal, but you will see that the effect of what you have defined in the style will appear for the user. So those inside the body, inside the body you can see that the effect of the styling can be seen, but all this styling which you are doing will be implicated only on a single web page, because this is not going to affect the style definition of another web page. Only for one single web page this is going to work. Therefore this type of style sheet is known as global, because on single page it is going to be applicable, not on the other pages. Then we have another type of style definition that we use using inline. Now inline means that only for a specific instance of the tag you are going to define the style. That will be limited in scope only to that one instance of the tag. Even on the same page it will not affect any other HTML tag which is there. So inline style definitions affect individual occurrences of tags. These are embedded within the tag itself using the style parameter. So within wherever you are using the tag, there itself you will define the style. So the following code will show you. So we write P and then you write the word style and you specify what size style you want, and the syntax remains the same. You write the name of the property, colon, value. Again you separate two properties with the semicolon and you write you separate it with the colon and you give the value for that property. So you can see that when you will use this this type of styling element, only one instance of the tag will get affected. After that tag, when you use that same tag next time, you will not see the effect or the impact of that styling which you have put there in that particular tag. So inline, basically you can see here another example is shown here, where you see that in the body we are defining paragraph. So the first instance you see is a normal paragraph. In the second instance of the p tag, we have defined a style using the attribute style is equal to, and we have defined the style. So now you can see that on the same page, one instance of the tag is without a style definition, whereas the second instance is with a style definition. So you can see here the second instance which you see in red color is having the impact of the style definition on it. So and the first instance is not having that impact because the style definition has not been provided for that particular instance. Now the thing is that if in a single page you find all three different types of style definitions are there, that is, there is a situation where you have a collision between the style. For example, I have defined paragraph color, font color as red in the linked CSS file, and I have defined paragraph font color as blue in the embedded, and I have defined paragraph font color as pink in the inline. Then which of these three font colors will be applicable if I use the p tag? So this is an important question to understand, and this is why the word cascading is used, because you can use one inside the other, but the effect or the priority will be given to the innermost level. Innermost means that inline style will have precedence over embedded, and embedded style sheet will have precedence over linking. So linking is the outermost. If none of the two have been specified, then the impact of linking will be seen. If inline is not specified, then the impact of embedded will be seen. But if inline has been specified for a specific tag, then you will see that the impact or the result will show the style definition that has been specified in inline, neither embedded nor external or linked style sheet. So basically we see that in case of inheritance, it is inline which overrides the internal or global, and internal overrides the external or linked style sheet. So this is very important when you are using style definitions for the same tags in a web environment while designing a website. So cascading means that this type of priority setting is given when you are using multiple layers. So the way styles will be used when there is more than one style defined for HTML element. So first is the browser defined, that is the default style. Then you have the external or the linked style UI when you use the .css file. Then you have the internal or global or embedded, that is inside the head tag of the HTML. And the fourth is the inline or the local style which you use using the within the HTML element. So an inline style which is inside an HTML element has the highest priority, which means that it will override every style declared inside the head tag or in an external style sheet and in the browser, that is the default value. So this is going to be used for conflict management also, like when there is similar kind of declaration. So an element which is present within another element, that is a child, will inherit all the properties of the parent element. But in case a child also has the definition for the same as the parent, then the property will attain the value of the child's declaration, not of the parent. What we are trying to say here is, like in embedded you have defined body background color as something, but when you are actually using body, you are specifying it as style with some other background color. So when in that case the child body tag will not inherit the property of the parent, because there is a definition of the property for the child itself. But when you are using the when the child is not got a specification for a specific property, then it will simply inherit the property of the value of the property that has been defined for the parent element, and it will not take its own. So child's property has its own priority over parent's property in case of style definition. So it is important to note that there is a precedence rule which is followed when style definitions are implemented in case of different web pages using inline, embedded or linked style sheets. Now if you want to apply, so these are the three ways that we have discussed in which styles can be applied, but basically the syntax remains more or less the same, because the way style definition is given is the same in all the three categories. So in case you want to apply the style for a particular segment of pages, then you will write the div tag. With the div tag you write a division tag to package a block of document into one unit. So it defines a block element basically. So when you give a div tag, you basically, it causes a line break, like which is created using the break or the paragraph tag P. Then another tag can also be used for creating portions of text or portions of content, that is span. So span wraps a portion of text into a unit but doesn't cause a line break. So it allows styles to be applied to an elemental region such as portion of a paragraph or so. So how we are going to use this, you can see here in this example, you have P and then you define a span class. You write span class is equal to, and you give any name to the class, and you say this text is rendered, you give any text in that, and you close the span, and then you close the paragraph tag also. And similarly you can create a division of the tag, and you can write again, you can create the same class and you create give some text in that, and you can see that the output, in the output you will see that in case of division you will see that there is a line break which comes and the category is applied to it, whereas in case of a span tag you will see that line break or the gap like a BR or a paragraph tag will not come. Now besides this, we can always apply the same style for a group of tags. Like we understand that heading levels H1 to H6, we want all heading levels to appear in the same color. So then you can use this kind of a syntax as it is shown here, and you can define a single color scheme for all the HTML headings. Now each header in this case will automatically become green. Similarly, we can separate selectors with a space and also give them, like for example the P and the LI, that is the list item, both will appear as red. So either you can separate them with a comma, where for grouping the tags you can either separate them with a comma or just give a blank space, and then within the curly braces you specify the name of the property, you give a colon and you give the value that you want to give the property. Like font color is the name of the property, you put a colon and you give the color to the font that you may want. Now besides this, it is also interesting to note that in Cascading Style Sheets we can create classes of our own. Now class, you can create a class selector, you can define a class, and later on for you define a style definition for a particular class, and then instead of using that for different tags you can simply use the name of the class. So here you can see that with a class selector you can define different styles for the same type of HTML element. For example, we define the first class, that is P right. So the text is right aligned, color is red and font style is italic. And then you define another class P dot blue, and then you write text align is center, color is blue. So when you will use this class in your HTML, so you simply write P class is equal to right, then this text will automatically get right aligned, italics and red. and when you will write p class is equal to blue, then it will become center aligned and blue. So basically, instead of defining individually for the tag different style, you may define the class for a style. So class becomes a additional attribute for that particular, you define the class as an additional attribute for that particular tag. So then you will write the name of the tag, a period sign, and the name of the class, followed by the setting. Next time when you are using the tag, you only have to write p class and you write the name of the class which you want. So the same p tag can be modified further by giving it as class. So you can use different classes to define different styling elements for the same tag. Then you can also, another way is defining a generic class, and then those styling elements can be used with any tag that you want here. So you can omit the tag name in the selector, and this will be used for all the HTML elements that you want. So for example, if you define a class called scheme, and in that class you give certain property values, like you give text align, or you give font color, or you give font style, and then you can use this with any other HTML document. Like here you can see in the example, we have created a class called .scheme, and we have specified some properties, we have set some properties. Now any HTML element with class is equal to scheme will be center aligned and italic. So you can see here in this example, I am using h1 class is equal to scheme, so then this becomes center aligned and italic. If I am using p class is equal to scheme, then automatically the paragraph becomes center aligned and italic. So basically you can use the class with either any specific selector or any specific HTML tag, or you can use this class as a generic term for specifying the different elements and the different properties, and use it with any HTML element that you wish to use it with. So basically we have seen here that then you can always use it for applying it to the different styles that we have seen. So different styles where we have seen how it is applicable for divisions and how it is applicable for spans, etc. So basic HTML structure of the basic HTML page basically can be controlled and can be designed, customized, using the use of making the use of style sheets, using different ways, either it is inline or it is embedding, or it is using the linking of the style sheets. So you can define the class element, and you can see different properties can be set. So the properties for different HTML elements are defined. What are the different properties that you can set? For example, here I am showing you the properties for the element font. So when you are using the tag font, you can either use different properties, the names of the properties, like for example you can use a font family where you specify the names of the different fonts that you want to use. Then you can specify a font style, that is normal or italic. Then you can specify the font weight, which can have different values, normal, bold, etc. Then you specify the font size and the font variant. So likewise you can see that multiple fonts, multiple properties can be set for each element. This is an example for font. There is a list of properties that you can set for paragraph, another list of properties that you can set for background. Even for links you have properties, linked, visited link, active link. So different properties, there are thousands of properties which you can set for each of the HTML tags that are used inside the web page. So we have seen how cascading style sheets can be used to enrich the way HTML tags are used, and how to use them for enhancing and customizing and creating a very specific kind of layout for our website. So that will be all for today's lecture, and we shall be continuing next time. Thank you.
With this note, thank you ma'am, thank you so very much for giving us this session. Friends, you're requested to write to us at info.cec@nic.in. We are going to meet again very soon. Till then, take care. Goodbye. Thank you ma'am, thank you once again.